Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Today, our guest is going to be Kelly Quinn, candidate for Nevada State Assembly, District Number 5. But before we get to Mr. Quinn, rants.
Brief one. I think we become soft as a society, and people need to start learning, like, life is not always easy. You got to deal with the hard stuff just like you enjoy the good stuff. And quit crying about the bad stuff. Just suck it up and do what you need to do.
You know what?
That's it.
Every time, well, not every time, a few times, I'm having a bad day. My cat ran away. My mortgage is past the day and I got to pay $150 in late fee. I just turn on the news and I watch it.
Yep.
2 fatalities today. I'm like, oh man, my day's going good. They say 6 foot above is better than 6 foot under, right?
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. Just real quick, I'm just going to leave it at this. This is one of the reasons why I miss my dad so much, is because my dad was the eternal optimist. Like, literally, like, one time our barn caught on fire and burned down. You know what he did? He goes, all right. He just started writing down numbers, and I'm like, what numbers are you writing down? He goes, well, I didn't really like that barn anyway, so call the insurance adjuster, make sure I get my check before 30 days, and then, this is the barn I actually want to build anyway. Can I afford that? Okay, good. And I'm just like, how does he just write it off like that? But my dad he said, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's all you can do.
And you can't cry over spilled milk. If the milk's already spilled,
right.
It's already a done deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So,
unless you put a little chocolate in and have some chocolate milk.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy, having candidates come in and interviewing them, because it's like, too many people turn to government for help. Turn to yourself.
Yeah, turn to yourself. And that's why we got Mr. Quinn here. He's going to tell us all about it. Mr. Quinn, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Tell us about you.
So about me, I moved to Nevada. I've lived here for over 30 years. I've lived here in Las Vegas for over 20 years, in District 5 for more than 20 years.
Okay. Where is District 5?
Spring Valley, the lakes area. The extreme borders go Alta down to Russell, almost Rainbow up to Hualapai.
When you said the lakes area, is that West Sahara?
West side, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because there's the lakes, and everybody think about Henderson.
Yeah, no,
over there on by Lake Mead.
Yeah, no, This is Sahara, and Durango is pretty much right in the middle of the district.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's I've lived here for say over 20 years. I've been firefighter, did EMS for years. I was an EMS regulator for several years for both the state and the health district here. Mm-hmm. At one point, I could say I've been in every hospital, EMS, fire hall in the state of Nevada. Can't say that anymore. They've built a few more since then. But currently a correctional officer out at High Desert State Prison for the state of Nevada.
You got trauma?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any trauma?
Trauma?
Yeah. Has anything happened over there that really like, there's God, I can't sleep.
There's always stuff to fall back on, but you get over it.
So is this maximum security prison?
No. It's considered medium or close custody.
Close custody, what does that mean?
It's SEG lockdown. But
okay.
So we've got everything from death row inmates to DUI.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Quinn, because I know you're in your bio, but how do you keep that smile on your face? You go up into a facility that nobody wants to be there. Mm-hmm. And the people that could come in and out, they're only there because, nobody wants to watch prisoners. They want to get paid, right? So how do you handle mentally? Mm-hmm. How do you do that when you going somewhere that nobody wants to be there?
It is what you make of it. You can make it miserable, or you can find something good about it and find a purpose for being there.
And what's your rank as a CO?
Sergeant.
Oh, you're
I'm a correctional sergeant.
Oh, so you're the one that take your baton and scrape it across the.
No.
No, you don't do that.
No.
Okay.
I don't have bars anymore, but.
Oh, what do they have? Just doors?
Doors with windows.
Steel doors.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you take a picture and send it to me, or would that be violating some type of code or something?
It would. You can't take cameras in there, but I do have pictures of the facility
I like to
that are
I like to
official
see it.
pictures.
I like to see it.
You could probably come out and tour the place.
No, you probably want to try to keep me if I come out and tour the place.
Voluntarily going into jail, period.
You probably want to keep me there. Oh, we know you did something. C block.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, our director's open to that, and
Is he?
our warden.
I wouldn't mind coming out and actually having a tour of that place.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I should bring, you know what, if I do come out and tour that place, I think I should bring some judicial candidates with me
Absolutely.
and have them tour.
I've had
You
that
think we could
discussion.
set that up? Because I'm serious.
I've already had that discussion with our warden, and he's open to that with the candidates, and especially the judicial candidates.
Yeah, I'll come. I won't come by myself because I want witnesses in case you try to keep me.
Well, we'll find a spot.
And it's a really good idea too, because and I like that Steve always you bring that up a lot when we have judicial candidates on. Like, have you toured the facility that you're sending someone to to make sure that, like, hey, is the facility on the up and up?
Yeah.
Well, there were some bills that went through the last cycle, too, that have really affected us. And again,
so?
to throw out the disclaimer, I'm representing my own views, not the department's views.
Absolutely.
So, but some of the things that we're required to do now with very little staff. And that we're mandating our new officers to work just about every other day for a 16-hour shift.
What are they requiring to do without little staff?
Extra yard time, extra visiting time, extra time out of cell. Where if somebody does something to go into segregation, as an example, they're limited to 14 days in segregation now.
I heard
And
of
they know
that. I heard of that. The solitary is only a certain amount of days. And now they could vote, so you're going to have to bring in the ballot box and everything.
Well, that's for the jails. Once they're in prison, they
don't get to vote.
But once they get out of prison, yes, they can vote.
So if you're in prison, you can't vote.
Correct. The jails, they can, because they're not convicted yet.
Is there constitutional rights taken away from them because they're inmate in the prison? Just like if you go in the military, your constitutional rights are like out the window?
Some of them are taken away, yes.
Okay.
So, but the difference between a jail and a jail, you've not been convicted yet, or you have less than a year's worth of time to serve. And somebody that's in prison has been convicted of a felony and have at least 1 year or more to serve.
Got it.
So
Okay. Please continue.
that's kind of the difference. Okay. But we're really struggling with some staffing shortages. And as we were having that problem before the last session, and now we're having to deal with that even more.
Okay.
We were able to get some things from legislature to make it more attractive to work there.
Right.
So substantially more pay, which
It's always a good thing.
So, a hiring cycle that would only generate 3 or a half dozen candidates, or applicants rather, now we're getting, 100 candidates. So it helps.
So a
still
lot
not
of
fixing the
people are
problems
interested
yet.
to become COs then.
Yeah, more so.
Okay.
But we're still the lowest paid law enforcement in the state. So.
Is that safer than being a cop on the street?
Depends how you look at it.
Okay.
We don't carry guns inside, so.
They'll use them on you.
And they know us better, we know them better than somebody on the street that you just happen to come across.
So you got to report.
So yes.
Speaking of the jails and the prison, I was given information years ago, I would say 2 years ago, on correctional officers that was bringing in contrabands to prisoners. Is that a true statement? Does that happen? And if it does happen, Mr. Quinn, how are you as an assemblyman going to make sure that problem doesn't exist anymore?
It is a very real thing. Yes, people do bring stuff in. Any profession is going to have corruption in it. Okay. And there are laws against that already. It's a felony to bring stuff in. And now whether they prosecute them or not is up to the DA or the Attorney General to do so. As an assemblyman, the laws are already there.
Okay.
Trying to encourage the department or the additional law enforcement side of it to prosecute them.
You guys have a code, don't you? Do you have a code?
A code
amongst the correction
officers?
Yeah.
Yeah, we support each other, but we're not going to lie for each other.
Okay.
And I've always stood by that, and it's, I'm not going to lie to protect somebody else.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Please continue with your bio.
but yeah, it's
Okay.
a real thing.
Okay. But if we know it's happening, how do we prevent it though?
Again, getting our officers and enough officers to where we can start self-policing a little bit too, in my opinion. Because right now you can't just fire everybody that does a little something wrong, because we would have nobody there. So.
Okay.
So let me follow up a little bit on Steve's question. So I really like where Steve's going with this. I'm going to go from the beginning of the process. So you said the legislature has kind of tied your hands a little bit as far as some of the stuff they're requiring you guys to do, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, gave you a little bit more money so you can recruit more people in, because the pay is better. Okay, so what does the recruitment process look like though? Because when you start talking about contraband, like there's certain people that probably shouldn't be in that profession.
Absolutely.
So how do you kind of,
And
how's that hiring process?
much of the hiring process has been relaxed. So yes, we do get people that have been gang members or inmates, former inmates, that have been hired on, and they don't stick around very long, but and other staff are employed there, and eventually they get found out, and they're fired, and whether they're prosecuted or not, again, is another agency that deals
As an
with that.
assemblyman, how would you and I kind of talked about this with our prior guest that was running for president. Like, you can't legislate morality.
Exactly.
But at the same time, as an assemblyman and somebody who obviously you're a CO, you're a sergeant, so you're an expert in this field. How would you, once you get elected, help the assembly tailor legislation that might be able to improve this process so we don't have contraband and some of this stuff coming into prisons?
Well, again, the laws are already there for
Right.
that. Our policies are already there for that.
So you think the current
enforcing
policies and
those-
laws are fine right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So
They
we
are.
just need to enforce
We
them.
need to support the staff that are there
Okay.
better, and make it more attractive to keep them there, because they can go to work in a security officer at a casino and make more money. And so we need to be able to attract people into that, provide the training to keep them there also, and that would help tremendously. Now, we're running, at High Desert alone, we're about 130 officers short right now out of 480.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant. If we can get beyond burning people out on all the overtime and the work environment, then to where we can do training and teach a brand spanking new CO how to be a CO, how to deal with people, how to talk to people, then yeah, we can eliminate a lot of that, I think.
Yeah.
It's still going to be there a little bit,
Oh, yeah, well,
but we could put a huge dent in it.
There's always going to be a couple bad apples,
Yep.
no matter what profession you're in, right?
Yeah, you gotta have civility.
But instead of having one officer work a whole unit by himself, if there's two officers working there, at least there's another set of eyes watching what's going on. So, and it's safer that way as well. So,
You're going through your bio.
sorry.
We keep
But yeah,
interrupting.
that's where I'm at right now. So, last cycle of legislature, I ran for Assembly 5 as well.
This one.
Yep, same district.
Okay.
I
And where was Assembly 5? Oh,
the Spring Valley area, yeah,
Okay.
the Lakes area. And I lost the general on that, won the primary, lost the general. We went straight from that into working the legislative session. So the citizen lobbyist group that we had, and every Saturday we did a Zoom call to talk about the bills that were coming up, or from last week, and the ones coming up.
What are you going to do differently? What did you learn from the last race?
Well, it takes more money, for one. I was outspent 10-1 on that.
Karen
And
Cox
to-
was outspent.
Yep, she won.
She
though.
won.
Good.
So
Yeah.
that's
I
not
agree.
really an argument.
It doesn't take
Anymore
the hundreds
to the-
of thousands of dollars that people talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I needed to have more money, I think, for that last push, because there were a lot of hit pieces that came out on me that were totally false.
What did
But
they
I
say?
couldn't do
What
anything
did they
about
say
it.
about you, Mr. Quinn?
The last few that came out started attacking my job, and it was that I stood by while an inmate got beat and he lost his eye.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't do that. But I was one of,
So why would they
I
lie
was-
about you like that?
because it hits the media. So
The
but I was-
media lied.
I was one of 42 or 43 defendants in that case. Yes, I was named in a case. I wasn't working that day that inmate
And they
got
named
beat
you?
either. Yes, they named every from the director down to line staff.
So how much did you
there
pay
was
on a
that.
lawsuit you should have filed?
Should have anti-slapped them.
Yeah, but it came out late, so I couldn't even
Respond?
respond to it.
Oh, that would have given you a couple of really good attorneys.
I should have come to you. But that was they took out 7 hit pieces on me. But that was
7?
That was the last 5 of the hit pieces.
They really wanted to slap you around.
Yeah, and it may have worked. I don't know, but
Okay.
I had good results in the election. Early voting, so I won by 30%. Day of election voting, I won by 40%. Mail-in ballots, I lost by 80%.
Oh, jeez.
So
Ballot
So-
harvesting. That's what you're going to do differently?
yeah,
Okay.
the whole party is.
So are you running as a Republican?
Yes,
Again? Okay. Yeah, the Republican Party needs to do a much better job than
Absolutely.
ballot harvesting.
and
And recruited.
one of the nice things about the caucus, though, now is we're getting organized more at the precinct level. At least in my district, we're trying to get involved more at the precinct level. The caucus is kind of forcing that to happen at the precinct level.
Yeah.
If we can continue that as we move forward into the primary and the general, and keep the precincts engaged, and the whole get out to vote efforts, and then the voting efforts in November, that's going to be huge.
In the primary, are you kids, married, or anything like that?
I'm married, yes. Kids are grown out of the house.
Okay. Grandbabies?
So 2.
Oh, congrats. Well, what are their ages?
3 and 2.
Okay. All right. So in this particular race for Assembly District number 5, are you knocking on doors?
Yeah.
And what concerns is your constituents saying to you about that district?
So it falls back last cycle to the safety, education, the
Safety,
economy,
what, home invasion,
stuff like
what
that.
police safety, what graffiti's going on?
Well, in the
what's happening?
southern part of the district, it's stolen vehicles. In the northern part of the district, it's home invasion.
So you need more police
So-
presence.
Absolutely.
And maybe these homeowners need to get some type of security measures in place, like security doors, alarms.
Well, and supporting the police too.
Yeah.
When it takes them an hour or 2 to respond to something.
An hour or
that's-
2 to respond.
Metro has the same issues that we have.
Have you
Shortages.
voiced your concerns with Kevin McMahill?
We've talked, yeah.
And what
So
was his
it's
feedback?
been a while ago, but
What did he say?
it's a concern. Absolutely.
Are
And
they short of police
they're-
officers or
Yeah,
or
they're
what?
short-staffed also. So all law enforcement is short-staffed. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore.
Do you think that we should get a program here like how they had in New York? The Guardian Angels was a bunch of civilians that were the eyes and ears.
I think that would
like
be great.
neighborhood patrol, or maybe you could get grant money. As an assemblyman for District 5, maybe you could get some type of grant money or something to kind of establish a neighborhood watch in the troubled areas of your assembly district.
And Metro has a lot of those programs going now. You mentioned the Angels group, the dads in the schools now. That program is
Dads in
helping
the school?
schools. Yeah,
How does that work?
the dads in the hallways or whatever it's called now.
And that's allowed?
Volunteer dads are actually getting into the hallways of the schools to have more of a presence to try to slow some of the crime in the schools now.
I'm glad you brought up the schools because I want to ask you something, and I'm sure this is probably it's a school district issue, but I'm sure that the legislature overall is going to make a determination. Breaking up the school district because Henderson wants their own school district. I'm sure Las Vegas is going to want their own school district. Boulder City probably wants their own school district. Nobody wants to be a part of the 5th largest school district in the nation anymore. They
And
want
the
to break
lowest
it up.
ranked.
Yeah, and the lowest rank. I mean, you got overcrowded teachers. You got a superintendent. We don't know if he's coming or going for the past few years. What's your take on that as an assemblyman? What do you plan to do?
School choice is huge. That's my number one platform item now.
So would you bring back that
school choice,
that CSEs or whatever it's called,
the vouchers,
the vouchers,
tax breaks?
tax breaks?
I would very much support that.
Okay.
I think competition breeds excellence, and the schools should be competing with each other. And AB 400 that was going through last cycle, now as it was first introduced, it was a pretty decent bill. The first round of hearings, they gutted it. And they amended all the meat of it out. They amended it again and put some of it back in, but AB 400 is nothing like what it started out to be. And that was one of the bills that Lombardo was really pushing for to get through. And they waited till way late in the session and then finally brought it to the table. That bill got the most activity, first only to SB 131, which is the practitioner bill. And then the stadium bill got the most activity. So it was the stadium, AB 400, and SB 131.
Have you met with any of the school board trustees, starting with the ones in your assembly district and probably working your way out of that, or any members of the Board of Ed?
More of the candidates that are running. I've not met with the sitting board on having significant discussion, just more of the hallway discussions with them.
How about going to the school board and voice your
I have
concerns?
been.
You have
I
done
have
that.
been there. One of the last one I went to was out in Boulder City, and I pointed out, there's been a move to get rid of a lot of the pornography and the books out of the elementary school and kindergarten level. Okay. And they keep pushing to get it younger and younger and younger, and the sexuality of the schools or the students is, I still can't wrap my head around that. So there's several books they're trying to pull, and there's a process for getting them done. One, fill out a form to send to the principals, the school board can pull them. Looking at the statutes, there's the city attorneys or the DA can pull them, and then fourth is the legislature. Okay. And the obscenity laws in Nevada, which is NRS 201, describes what obscenity is, what it means, but there's an exclusion clause that excludes schools, universities, libraries, and museums. So you have these drag queen shows that they're doing in the libraries and the schools now. That's why they're in a library, because they're exempt from prosecution there. If they're to do them in a park or a building like this, they could be arrested for it. Okay. So to get rid of that exclusion, that would be one of my bill proposals, is to pull that out. But going back to the school board, they've had people testifying for a couple of years now trying to remove some of these books, and they just turn a blind eye to it. I presented the last one they had out in Boulder City that some of the books they are pushing down into kindergarten, we wouldn't allow in a prison. Because our own regulations, they can have pornography, but they can't have penetration of any kind, can't have kids in a suggestive pose, can't have gang material or guns. So these books that they're pushing have penetration, have children in suggestive poses. They wouldn't be allowed in a prison, but yet we're pushing them down into kindergarten level. And they're written in cartoon format.
So what kind of effect have you had on that? Because, this was a specific question I wanted to ask you. Because of your experience and because of being a correctional officer, I think you're in a very unique position to where, especially when it comes to education, because I've always said this, look, as a government, we're going to have to figure this out. If you're going to put money into something, I would rather put more of my tax dollars, even though I'm not saying increase my taxes because they're already high enough. Thanks, Biden. But anyway, if I have to pay higher taxes, I'm willing to pay higher taxes if it's going to good education instead of building more prisons. Mm-hmm. And nothing against correctional officers. I think you guys do a great job, but at the end of the day, I think we need more teachers and less COs. Mm-hmm. So when you get elected at the assembly level, how can you impact that? And really explain to these legislators, hey.
So my son's 30 years old now, and he went through kindergarten here. And we've always been ranked in the bottom 5. since he was in school. And we keep throwing money at it every session. This last session, they got more money than they've ever gotten before, still. But it always gets absorbed at the administrative level. It's not making it to the classroom. And you talk to the teachers any day and they'll tell you that. And we need to get it down into the classroom and given the teachers the ability to maintain their own classroom. And, you know, it used to be, I used to guest teach some EMT classes in some of the high schools, and it was, everybody had a right to an education back then. Well, now it's the restorative justice. So they can't discipline, they can't kick students out of the class. The teachers don't have control. So if we give them the control to do that, then that would help improve the system as well.
And I agree with you 100%, but I hear it from every single assembly candidate every 2 years, but it never happens.
Right.
Like I've never seen it get to the teacher level.
Because they keep pushing more of that old agenda.
So what are you going to do to change that is what I'm asking.
Until we get a majority of at least one of the houses in the legislature, it's not going to change. They're going to keep pushing that same agenda. No. We need to get 6 seats on the assembly side or 3 seats on the Senate side to get a simple majority of at least one house. At least we've got some control then of what gets heard. So, and until we can do that, the old agenda is still just going to push forward.
I want to talk to you a little bit about campus carry, and that bill was first introduced by Michelle Fury years ago when she was in the assembly, and it was brought to her attention because of a young lady was at UNR, I believe it was at UNR, is a CCW carrier, but she had to leave her weapon in her vehicle or what have you and couldn't take it on school property, and she was raped.
Yeah, I remember that case.
And she said if she had her weapon, that wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. So now fast forward, here we are at UNLV, and one professor walks in and kills 3 professors. Mm-hmm. Now, if any one of those 3 professors had a weapon, they probably could have, I mean, I wasn't there, but they could probably defend themselves. How do you feel about campus carry on school property so people won't be, what you call it, a guinea pig? No, maybe that's a bad word looking for. Just standing out there ready to get shot, because especially, and I'll even go one more, you know, I'm a CCW carrier, mm-hmm. but when I see on a door with a weapon and a cross out on the weapon, it says no weapons permitted on this property. If I was a bad guy and I already have a weapon that I'm illegally carrying because that's my MO, bad guy. Now, you just told me that nobody in there has a weapon. Exactly. So it's a free-for-all for me. I could go in there and gradually shoot the hell out of everybody. Yep. If I'm carrying one illegally anyway, what's going to stop me? So now I'm carrying one illegally and I see the sign, oh my goodness, I'm going to go put this in my car.
No, I've got some views on that.
The only one that's going to do that is law-abiding citizens, right?
Exactly. And there was a bill last cycle that went through that would have allowed, say you're dropping your kids off at school. Mm-hmm. Currently, you drive into the parking lot, you're now in violation because you're on school property. There was a bill that would allow that. You could have a gun in your vehicle while you drop your kids off.
Your vehicle is your own personal property.
If you need to go into the school, you would have had to have left it in your vehicle and secure it in the vehicle to go into the school.
I get that.
So, but luckily, that one got killed, I believe it was. But
which one got killed?
I believe
which one got killed?
No, the one that you could leave your gun in the vehicle.
You can't do that?
Right.
Why not?
You still, if you drive onto the parking lot, it's still illegal to do that.
You know, that's crazy.
You have to stay on the street.
Do you remember when North Las Vegas had this thing, you can't have a weapon in your car or a type deal? So I had a lot of North Las Vegas candidates. There was some type of law. This was like years back. I had North Las Vegas candidate, and I had them sitting in the chair there, and I'm telling them, so if I have a weapon in my vehicle, and you guys are saying I can't have one in North Las Vegas, what happens if I'm going to drive through North Las Vegas, or if I got to drop somebody off on my way back to Las Vegas? Now, and how do I know where the border ends and where it stops? That's ludicrous. You know?
I totally agree. And But to go back to your question, the school carry, I agree with that. I think they should be able to carry on school. Universities, I think they should be able to carry concealed. Even in the public schools, I think if a teacher or staff is willing to go through the training
Right.
and stay qualified with it and train regularly, let them carry.
They should
That
have
way,
an extensive
if the-
training, though, I think,
Totally agree.
to kind of shoot
Because the
when there's
worst,
a crowded area.
yeah,
Right, yeah, crowded
exactly.
area in particular. I agree with you 100%.
But if
Steve,
they're
on that one.
willing to go through all of that, it's almost like a peace officer training to be able to do that.
Post-certified type.
And
deal.
they're able to do it and stay concealed, at least there's a mechanism to stop the shooter coming in like that.
You know what? And I
That's my
agree.
personal opinion.
I think
So-
I think that this campus carry should be legal with one caveat that the teachers or staff go through a post-certified
Yeah, training.
training
Gotta
to be.
train.
And it's not just you got a
Because the
CCW
worst-
now it's a
yeah.
post-certified to teach you how to shoot through crowds and all that stuff.
The worst thing that could happen
You,
is
you shoot a kid.
end up shooting a kid. Not the aggressor coming in, but the teacher,
teacher.
shooting a kid. That would be
That would be a
Terrible.
major liability lawsuit, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
wrongful death and all that. But I
But
think
what are the options? You have
think
these
it should
mass
happen.
shootings in the schools, and you've got 3 to 5 minutes waiting for police to get there. A lot happens in 3 minutes.
yeah, because all you're doing is telling a criminal that there's nobody here with a gun. You know.
Yep.
And this thing with see this thing with driving your vehicle on school property, all of a sudden you're in violation.
Yeah.
But your vehicle is your own personal property. In fact, if a law enforcement officer wants to search your vehicle, they need a search warrant. So why can't you just drive in and drop your kid off and you have a weapon in your vehicle? Because what could happen to you by the time you leave your house and you go to the supermarket and then you're dropping your kid off. All that time you're weaponless because you know that you're going to go to the school, drop your kid off.
Right.
It just doesn't make does it make sense
Makes
to
no
you?
sense. No.
So what could you do to
And-
change that?
Well, there were 3 bills that the governor vetoed. There were the first 3 bills that he vetoed. One was
Which governor?
the age, Lombardo. Governor Lombardo. One was the age requirement of the 21 to even handle a gun. So you could take your kid out shooting and say, here you go. You'd be in violation for allowing them to handle that gun. That was the most extreme part of that bill that I remember.
I took my 13-year-old shooting.
Right. I grew up in Montana. We went hunting in high school. We'd go out hunting after school.
And she
Carry
shoots
the
better
gun
than-
to school and then go
Yeah,
out
she
hunting
shoots
after
better than
school.
some adults I've seen.
So yeah,
That's why I'm always so
So-
polite to her, by the way.
but that was that was the main one. But the governor vetoed that. The first 3 bills he got, he vetoed, and they waited till long into the session strategically, I believe. Another one was the voting place. You couldn't have a gun within, I believe it was 100 feet or 300 feet. There's probably 100 feet. And it included ballot boxes as well. Well, my church has a ballot box in it last cycle. So if I carried a gun into the church, I'm now within 100 feet, I'd be in violation and could potentially lose all my guns then because of that.
I mean, when I go to
that one
church,
got
I'm
vetoed.
armed. Because
Yeah,
people don't, the bad guy don't say, oh my God, that's a church.
Yeah.
I am not shooting nobody in there today. I mean, look what
Which
happened the other
many
day.
churches
I
do.
forgot what state that was. They shot up the church.
I didn't see that.
That
So,
was I think about a couple of years ago.
okay. Yeah. But, and then the third one, I'm drawing a blank on what it was. But anyway, he vetoed the first 3 gun bills attacking the Second Amendment.
So as a legislature, Mr. Quinn, what bills do you want to champion when you become an assemblyman?
Education, school choice, number 1.
Okay.
Parental rights for consent for kids,
What does that
medical
mean?
procedures. If your daughter, say, wants to go down and have certain medical care done, the school can take your child down and have that
Hell
medical
to the
procedure
no.
done, and they don't have to tell you a word about
Somebody
it.
gonna get an ass whooping.
Exactly. So, and they attacked that even more this last cycle as well. We need to get parental rights back to the parents, not the schools, not the government.
That's right.
And the parents need to have that discussion with their kids, not the schools. And the schools should be required to have those conversations with the parents as what's going on with their kids.
Okay.
I believe. So the public safety part of it, that's another one. Now, it was part of my platform last cycle as well, but the governor's emergency powers, okay, especially during COVID. That's why it was a priority last cycle. That I think that no governor should have the ability of locking down our economy the way the SISLOC did. So my proposal was 90 days. If you have an
everything is essential.
emergency declaration that's going to go 90 days, have one of the standing committees provide oversight to that and say, yes, we're going to continue this, or no, we're not. And I used to use the example of Mount Charleston burning. There's a forest fire up there, and the responders, emergency management, the governor needs to have the ability of shutting down those businesses, evacuating people out of there, and allocating resources. I used to do wildland firefighting years ago as well. And if that fire gets an emergency declaration, it's going for a while. And if it hits 60 days, that's time enough to convene one of the standing committees to provide that oversight. It's not a dictatorship anymore. Somebody else has their name on it. So I'd propose that again,
Okay.
the longer timeline. And those are the three main issues that I would really be focused on.
See, Mr. Quinn, I really like that because that's one of the things that I've argued on a national level for years is the whole War Powers Act with the president. Mm-hmm. It's like pretty much now the president we can just go to war.
Right.
And the legislative body can't really say nothing one way or the other.
Well, you need an act of Congress to go to war.
Yeah, but the War Powers Act, now they just never declare war.
But he could put the Marine Corps anywhere within the globe for 90 days without Congress approval.
Right. Yeah.
That's why they're called the president's own.
Yeah. But I like that though because oversight because we're a land of laws and the legislative body writes the laws. So therefore, I like that. Another thing I wanted to ask you though. So when I asked you the question earlier, and I've heard this a lot from Republicans running for the assembly. When I ask them questions, they always said the same thing. Well, first off, we need to get the majority, but even if you're elected and you're not in the majority, you still are a legislature.
You still have to
a legislator. And I just don't like the fact that a lot of Republicans, and I'm a registered Republican, always seem to use that as an excuse. So you get elected, Republicans still in the minority, even if you get elected, what are you going to do to still push your agenda with even being in the minority and not just using it as an excuse?
Well, you still have to work with everybody there. On the assembly side, there's 42 people there, 42 seats. Right. So it just so happens the Democrats have 28 of those right now. Right. So, but just like last cycle, as soon as we came out of the election, we started into getting ready for the session. And there were 1,200 BDRs that were bill draft requests filed last session. Somebody's got to read those and evaluate them. So we started doing that, and we formed a group that we would get together at least once a week and go through them. And when the language would actually come out to them, we'd be reading them and see, okay, who has some expertise in this? Who can write an opinion on it? Who can show up and testify on it? You've got to create some public opinion. The last session of legislature is now the most publicly active session ever in Nevada. Because people stood up and they clicked the mouse on their computer and provided an opinion. Oppose, support, write an opinion, send an email, show up and testify. Some of those committees, we had the committee rooms packed with people. So the public participation, the citizen lobbyist, that's how we can push it on our side in the minority. So if you get enough people showing up, they kind of have to take notice of that.
So you're a proponent of effective government. I've been saying this for years too. Effective government requires active citizens and educated voters.
Absolutely. And to educate the voters and educate those people showing up to those hearings, even if they don't testify. If you can show up, maybe write a short opinion, whether you oppose or support, you look at the political science of that, every person occupying a seat represents so many thousands of the constituency. So if you got a packed committee room, like I said, they have to take notice of some of that at least. And the Nellis website, not the Air Base, but that's Nevada Electronic Legislative Information System. It's leg.state.nv.us. You can look up the bills on there. You can watch the hearings on there, the videos. Go back several sessions and watch the videos of those hearings. And you can look at opinions that were provided. And we need to do that. It's time consuming, yes, but we still need to do that and participate with the process. And that's one of the things that I did and our group did, was we would educate people every week. We'd start out our Zoom meeting with a short few minutes of how to log into Nellis, how to set up an account. It's free, by the way, and how to find the bills on there and how to evaluate them. And as a minority, to answer your question, that's where the involvement comes in. We still have to participate.
Mr. Quinn, I know we're running out of time, but I'm looking at your rack card here, and you have abortion on here, and abortion is already in our Constitution, right? In Nevada,
It's in
Nevada's not the U.S. Constitution.
No.
Nevada's Constitution, Tony Grady. Nevada's Constitution.
It was done on a ballot with a ballot
Right.
initiative, so it takes a ballot initiative to change it again.
Right.
But it's in statute. It's in the NRS 442,
24 weeks, right?
24 weeks.
Right.
But there's another section right behind that that says, in the doctor's opinion, any age,
Right.
up to, it just has to be done in a hospital. It can't be done in a clinic anymore.
Well,
after
is a
24
doctor's
weeks.
opinion meaning
So-
the life of the mom?
Yeah.
It's their opinion. Medically or mentally, if it's going to harm mom, they can do it full term. If you take the statute directly, look at the paragraph right behind the age
Yeah,
requirement.
no, I didn't know that was state. I know
So-
originally that was federal because that was Roe v. Doe
Yeah.
or whatever.
Roe v. Wade, yeah.
Yeah, the Democrats bring it up all the time about
I know,
abortion, but
they do.
nobody could do anything about it.
Right. But this cycle, it is an issue again with SGR 7, because SGR 7 is another effort to put it into the Constitution, the state Constitution, for any age, any term. So it passed the last session. And the whole difference between a resolution and a bill is a bill, the governor has to sign it. A resolution doesn't involve the governor at all. It's totally legislature. And when they control both houses, they can pass that resolution. But it has to pass 2 sessions consecutive and then go on to the ballot. And so it is an issue for this next cycle because they'll be voting on whether to pass that resolution again. And so, yeah. And
Well, we keep
most
reinventing
candidates,
the wheel.
yeah. But most candidates won't address that. I said, okay, somebody needs to stand up and tell you their opinion. So I'm hoping that that resonates with some people that, yes, I am putting it out there.
Okay.
That this is what the statutes are right now. And I'm pro-life. So.
Okay. Mr. Quinn, is there anything that you want to cover that we haven't covered?
Just support, be involved. Like we were talking before, we need people to be involved. Again, the caucus is coming up tomorrow. We need people to show up, and we kind of know where it's going to go, but you still need to show up and get the numbers up. And it looks pretty silly if in the primary we've got tens of thousands of people showing up, and then the caucus we have just a small amount of people showing up. They need to be similar. Then as we move into the primaries, support your candidates. Find the candidates that resonate with you and support them. It's expensive to run a campaign. And the money side of it, like I say, last cycle I was outspent 10 to 1. This cycle, I'm raising more money. And we started way earlier this cycle than we did last. Last time I didn't even start till March when I filed. For me, my website is Quinn for NV.
Folks, this is Kelly Quinn. He's a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 5. He ran last election, made it all the way into general, and he's doing it again. and take a listen, educate yourself on this candidate, and go to the ballot box and vote for the person that you feel that supports your philosophies or your state of mind, and that's going to help your kids in the future as well. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.